Canada doesn't just buy Swedish fighter jets, they become the factory that builds them for all of NATO, a $20 billion shift that could shatter America's iron grip on allied defense. Washington is watching nervously as Stockholm and Ottawa plot something that could fundamentally reshape the Western defense industry. What's unfolding could trigger the biggest power shift in military manufacturing since World War II. Here's the stunning proposal. Saab is planning to augment its Swedish and Brazilian production lines with a Canadian final assembly facility that would materially speed deliveries and ease logistical bottlenecks. This isn't a small assembly shop. This would be a full-scale manufacturing powerhouse. Saab has proposed a production hub in Canada that could bring roughly 10,000 jobs to the country, including direct manufacturing positions and supporting roles. The proposal includes establishing production facilities in Ontario and Quebec, supported by a pan-Canadian supplier network. Ontario and Quebec represent Canada's industrial heartland, with existing aerospace expertise and infrastructure. But here's where it gets explosive. Ukraine has signed a letter of intent with Saab that opens the door for Kyiv to acquire up to 150 Gripen E fighters, which would represent the largest single export order for the type and would demand a rapid scale-up in production. Canada wouldn't just be building jets for its own air force. They'd become the manufacturing hub supplying Ukraine's war effort, NATO members, and nations across Latin America and Asia. Let's talk economics. The F-35 is America's most valuable defense program, bringing approximately $72 billion into the American economy each year. Now imagine chunks of that revenue flowing to Canada instead. Portugal is in talks with Saab over potential Gripen procurement after expressing unease with their programs to acquire US-produced F-35s. The Philippines is set to ink a deal for at least 20 Gripens. Even Peru and Colombia are interested. The F-35 program represented 26% of Lockheed Martin's total consolidated net sales in 2023. If just a fraction of NATO switches to Canadian-built Gripens, billions in American revenue vanish. Jobs in Texas, California, and across the defense industrial base would disappear overnight. The groundwork for this shift is already laid. Besides Sweden, Brazil, the Czech Republic, Hungary, South Africa, and Thailand currently fly Gripens. These aren't minor players. They're proving the jet works across diverse environments from Arctic conditions to tropical climates. Hungary operates 14 Gripen C/D jets that are responsible for protecting national and Slovenian airspace and taking part in NATO Baltic air policing missions. The Gripen isn't some theoretical alternative. It's already defending NATO airspace right now. Here's what makes the Canadian manufacturing proposal so dangerous to American interests. Sweden's defense minister stated that to produce 100 to 150 additional Gripen fighters on top of what they're doing in Sweden might be challenging, which is why they're talking about partnership with Canada. Sweden physically cannot meet global demand alone. They need Canada. Saab has delivered 60 Gripen E/F aircraft to Sweden, 36 to Brazil, and 4 to Thailand, with additional negotiations underway with multiple governments in Latin America, Central Europe, and Asia. Every single one of those future contracts could flow through Canadian factories. The interoperability argument that Washington uses to push the F-35, Saab counters that its proposal was designed to meet NORAD and NATO interoperability requirements, and that local ownership of mission systems offers a sovereign path. The technical barriers are falling. What remains is political will. For decades, America has maintained an almost total stranglehold on NATO's high-end fighter aircraft. The F-35 program is powered by a global supply chain of over 2,100 suppliers from more than a dozen countries. That network represents incredible political leverage. When allied nations buy American jets, they're buying into an ecosystem that Washington controls completely. But that control is fracturing. Multiple factors are driving NATO nations toward alternatives. Trump's unpredictable stance toward the alliance, aggressive tariff threats, and public statements about annexing Canada have created unprecedented uncertainty about American reliability as a defense partner. Canada and Portugal are considering the Swedish-made Gripen fighter jet as a potential alternative to the American F-35, with Portugal shifting focus toward European aircraft due to uncertainty surrounding the Trump administration. This isn't just about one or two countries, it's a broader trend. The cost argument is devastating. While the F-35's flyaway cost has dropped to around $82 million for the A variant, each F-35 comes at a lifetime cost estimated at $200 million, compared to the 4.5 generation Gripen E at just over half of that. For smaller NATO nations with constrained budgets, that difference is absolutely critical. The Pentagon's nightmare is simple. If Canada successfully establishes itself as a Gripen manufacturing hub, it provides a viable, NATO interoperable, politically palatable alternative to American dominance. The monopoly ends. What we're witnessing is nothing less than the birth of a multipolar defense industrial complex. For 70 years, America and to a lesser extent Britain and France have dominated Western arms exports. That era is ending. A Canadian Gripen hub fundamentally alters global power dynamics. The success of such a strategy depends on sustained political commitment, export viability, and transparent technology transfer arrangements. But if Canada commits, it transforms from a defense consumer into a defense producer with global reach. Saab stated that the Gripen Center would be operated by Canadians and manage the mission system domestically, ensuring data control and sovereignty, allowing Canada to conduct in-country technology upgrades. This isn't just assembly work. It's genuine technology transfer that builds long-term industrial capacity. China and Russia are watching this closely. Any fracturing of NATO's defense procurement unity weakens the alliance's collective power. But paradoxically, diversifying production might actually strengthen NATO by reducing dependence on any single supplier and creating redundancy. The winners? Sweden gains a production partner. Canada builds a cutting-edge aerospace industry. Smaller NATO nations get affordable, capable fighters without political strings attached. Ukraine potentially gets jets faster. The loser? American defense contractors who've enjoyed decades of near-monopoly profits. This isn't just about fighter jets. It's about whether the Western defense industry remains American-dominated or becomes genuinely multinational. The decisions made in Ottawa over the next few months will shape military aviation for the next 50 years. Canada building Gripens for NATO represents more than a procurement decision. It's a fundamental challenge to American defense industry dominance. Whether this vision becomes reality depends on Ottawa's courage to pursue genuine defense sovereignty. The entire world is watching what happens next. Should Canada become NATO's Gripen factory? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If this analysis opened your eyes, hit that like button and subscribe for more defense industry deep dives. More shocking revelations coming soon.